to the end of the beginning. This is the last video. This is the last word that I'm going to give you. It is the most important word, and it will be the place of absolute victory. And in my life, I spent years trying to fix myself, thinking that the more self-talk I did, the better I was, the more books that I read, the more I put it out there to the universe, the more that I thought positive thoughts, that I could fix me. And that didn't happen. I kept failing miserably. And there came a point where I had to come to the conclusion that I came to, that I can't do life without God. And I don't mean God from like a guy up in the sky. Some days he has a baseball bat, sometimes he has an ice cream cone, depending on my behavior, but the God of relationship, the God that is close, the God that sent his only son to the earth to become flesh, to dwell among men, and then to ultimately, at just the right time, die on the cross so that I might live. And he came as an atonement for my sin, for my humanity, for my imperfections, for yours. And I would be lying to you if I told you that just this, and this would fix everything. If you could just make sure that you did step 1, 2, and 3, that everything would be just fine. You've gotten so many tools and you've weeded out the mess, but then you're left with this face-to-face depravity of who you are as a human being. And when we come to that place of depravity, when we come to the pit of hell, we either decide to reach out for God or we try and pull ourselves out. And I tried for so long to pull myself out. The Genesis Project would not be, because I would still be trying to pull myself out. But I came to a decision where I had to choose God. Even though I didn't understand, even though I didn't get it, even though I didn't really know who he was, I didn't understand his character, I didn't understand his nature. I thought that some days he was really happy with me and other days he was really mad at me based on who I was and what I did. But that, in the last 4 years, has been the journey that I've been on, the conclusion that the Genesis Project has come to. Like, this project has been the journey of my life the last 4 years. Walking through the mess, walking through the issues, trying to figure out why I do what I do. Why am I so annoyed? Why am I so angry? Why am I so frustrated? Why am I so sad? Why can't I just be nice? Why can't I be ultimately joyful? Like, why can't I do these things? And it was because I was trying to do life without God. And life with God is so much better because he sent his son as an atonement. There was blood shed so that I could leave all of my brokenness and all of my wounds and all of my sorrow, and I could leave them all at the cross. And there is nowhere else to leave them. If we decide that well, we're just going to do it on our own, well, then you carry that yoke forever because you have nowhere to leave it. But Jesus says that my burden is easy, my yoke, it's light. You can give me your stuff. But all too often we try and live our lives doing it ourselves, being independent. I don't need anybody. But I think what this project opens your eyes to is the mess of humanity, the depravity of our own souls, what happens when we come face to face with the ugliest, darkest parts of who we are, and we can choose to say, you know what, it feels better to keep them. Or we say, you know what, I don't want them anymore. I want to live a life where I have real joy and I have real peace and I have real patience and I have real love and I know that I'm really, really living. The Genesis Project is hands down everything that I was created for, everything that burns inside of me that I am passionate about and I love. But none of that would have happened because I had such a mess inside of me that I had to get out of the way in order for me to be able to walk in what God had already created me to do. But I didn't know who I was. And so you might get done with this project and feel like you're this blank piece of paper. You're this easel that there is no artwork on. And you're sitting there going, I don't know who I am anymore. But that is one of the most beautiful places to be because you can then say to God, God, who did you create me to be? And then he actually wants to tell you, because he's a God of relationship, and he speaks, and he wants to hang out with you, and he's your friend, and he's always in a good mood. Always. And we have to understand that about his character and that about his nature, and that God sent his son so that I would be able to give up my yoke, and that I would be able to leave my burdens, because if not, I carry them. And I am not righteous, I am not pure, I cannot do anything good or right without God. It's impossible. I don't have to get out of bed anymore and put my feet on the floor and pretend that I'm happy. I don't, because I just am. I don't pretend that I'm peaceful and that I'm okay. I don't have to live with my head in the sand anymore. I live because I have peace and because I know that God is who he says he is. But it was a journey of me going and finding him and leaving every other thing behind. Leaving behind the ideas of other things, of worldly things that are not God. He wants you, just you, all of you, the messy you, every single part of you. He wants you, and he wants to love you. But he wants just you. Not you and Buddha, and you and a little bit of New Age, and you and a little bit of some other gods. He wants all of you for himself, because he created you so that he could love you. And because he loves you all the time, no matter what. He loves you because he loves you because he loves you, because that's just who he is. And so this project, there are a lot of things that you can do, but you will never be fully successful. You will never be fully healed, because we can't do this on our own. We were never created to do this alone. We were created to do this with God, and he wants to do this with you. So if you don't know who you are, sit down with a pen and a paper, and from your mouth say, God, who did you create me to be? And sit down and listen and write down what he says, and don't argue with him. And if it's negative, it's not God. If it's positive, believe it, because that's who he says he is, and that's who he created you to be. But you have to begin to believe it and to walk in it. And there'll be days where I don't believe it, but I ask him again, and then he tells me again, and I remember that. And so I will tell you that the only reason I am where I am, and the only reason that this project exists, is because I came face to face with myself and my depravity, and I didn't love it. It was ugly and it was messy. And so I just started writing in my journal and reading my Bible, because it was the only thing I knew what to do, because I didn't know how to do anything else, because nothing else was working. And in the process, God was kind and he was gentle, and he was swift to help me deal with my stuff and to expose it, and then to willingly say, oh my gosh, God, forgive me, please. Run my life. My will is yours. And then walking in a life of obedience, but saying, Jesus, I know that you came because I'm human and I'm sinful and I'm a wretched girl and I'm wicked. And I'm not nice because I can't do anything good outside of God. And so I would really, 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 really encourage you to begin a conversation with the one who made you, because he wants to talk. He never left. He didn't go anywhere. He's standing on the other side of a door. You just happen to have the doorknob, and so you get to open it. So I challenge you to open it, because you won't be sorry, and it's definitely a risk worth taking. And there's a quote in Narnia, and they're talking about Aslan, and Aslan represents God. And he says, is he safe? And they say, no, he's not safe, but he's good. And that, I will tell you, is the truth. He is not safe. And your life might go a whole other direction, but he is good all the time. And so I would challenge you with that. And I would feel like it was an injustice if I just left the Genesis Project without telling you this, because I can give you other tools, but ultimately it's only God. So dig in. Good luck. You've got this. I love you guys.